Good afternoon and welcome to the Joy Newsroom. My name is Clarence Kwesi Apia. In our headlines this hour, close associate of President Akufo-Addo, Gabi Asare Darko, insists delays in the passage of government e-levy bill and low revenue returns left it with no choice but to seek support from the IMF.
You don't intend to go to the IMF, but you are put in a situation where your avenues of raising revenue are being closed, whether through parliamentary action or by public rejection. Then you have to tackle it.
Ghana card applicants plead for more time to link their bank accounts with the card as the policy limiting the operation of bank accounts in Ghana takes effect. We will hear from an aged pensioner who tried unsuccessfully for a year to get the card.
Almost even got 2 weeks time, if I yes, it will we in bank when you pay.
The National Cathedral Project, chairman of the National Democratic Congress, Samuel Ampofo, describes the government posture as unfortunate.
Telling us that this cathedral will not be built with state funds and that it will be contribution from individuals and private sector and others. You see, when we are building a cathedral for God, you don't build it on the foundation of lies.
We are live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. We are also free to air. This is the home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Stay for details. A close associate of the President Akufo-Addo, Gabi Asare Darko, says government cannot be blamed for the current state of the economy that has resulted in a quest to seek support from the International Monetary Fund, IMF. Ghana is set to engage the global financial institution amid accusations from the opposition NDC that mismanagement of the economy has left government with little choice. Mr. Darko disagrees.
We just look at the numbers in 2019. And I'm saying that in 2019, if you look at in terms of our revenue to debt servicing, it was not where it is now. If you look at our numbers in terms of debt to GDP ratio, it was nowhere near where it is now. And if you remember, even in 2019, government has passed a law, to impose a ceiling on budget deficit. It was 5%, and they hit it. So in terms of managing the economy, there were challenges, but the policies were working. And I think that's how we have to look at it. No one can say that it's only because of COVID we are here. We had challenges. That's why we went to the IMF in 2015. That's why we couldn't even come out of it. We went off track in 2016 and came back on track 2017, 2018. So there were challenges. But
there is
can't dispute that because the situation was challenging in 2014 and 2015 when we went to the IMF. Nobody can dispute that. But the point is, what was the trajectory that the country was on? Those are the things that you have to look at. And let me give you a few examples. If you look at in terms of exchange rate levels, by 2017, let me just give it to you. 2017, it was minus 4.9%. By December 2019, it was minus 3.9%. Where is it now? So you could see, and when you look at the trajectory, that's the point I'm making. It is obvious that steps were being taken to deal with that, but there were weaknesses, fundamental weaknesses within the system. So what did COVID do? And when you look at the numbers, not just in Ghana, when you look at inflation, we've seen about 350% increase, in inflation from December 2019 to May 2022.
He also believes delays in getting government's e-levy policy approved exacerbated the situation.
Even if you don't intend to go to the IMF, but you are put in a situation where your avenues of raising revenue are being closed, whether through parliamentary action or by public rejection, then you have to tackle it. And I believe that whatever you say, we are in the IMF, but when you look at the fact that the economy is still growing, when you look at the fact that beyond the challenges of servicing your debt, and that's what the relief that you get. I heard someone say that the IMF may not necessarily bring us money, but I think what it does is that it stops a run on your reserves, it stops a run on your bonds. And I think if we have that stability over the next 12 to 15 months, I believe that the country will see a turnaround. So yeah. I'm not too pessimistic about why we are in the IMF. It's unfortunate that we were forced there because the policies that the government brought did not get the support that it required. So it had actually no option.
Economist Professor Charles Godfred Aka, meanwhile, says going for IMF support at this time is not a prudent decision.
If they are now trying to go back to IMF for $2 billion US, I am saying that the central bank can finance about $1 trillion US. Okay. And depending on how it is spent, it should not cause us inflation. That can fix our roads, create the industries, employ the youth on the street. It should not be IMF be the solution. They will not give us anything that can change Ghana in 10 years. Okay. So I believe that our problem is the central bank. And the IMF is saying that the central bank is zero financing. Why should it be zero financing? What is the role of the central bank? The CD is a public good. We don't go and get a CD from China. The CD is printed by...
Now, a spokesperson for former President John Dramani Mahama, Felix Kwakye Ofosu, meanwhile, says the Ghanaian economy will simply get worse and seeking such support remain the only viable option.
I've heard people compare us to Japan, the US. They say, oh, Japan has debt-to-GDP ratio of 260%. So if we have about 80%, it is not such a disaster. Look, it is a disaster for us. Japan borrows at such a low rate. They borrow under 1%. In addition to that, they use a fraction of their revenue to service debt. So they don't have the sort of fiscal rigidities that we have. In 2021, we used 92% of our tax revenue to service debt. The first quarter of this year, we used 108% of tax revenue to service debt. And people can look at this and claim that there were options. If there were options, given how arrogant and proud this government is, they would not have opted for the IMF. The sad part is that they have waited too long. They should have gone immediately after the elections when they noticed that we were in trouble.
Now, the minority in parliament says government's decision to seek IMF support to rescue the economy is refreshing but late. Minority spokesperson on finance, Dr. Kesil Atoforson, described government's handling of the economy as horrible, arguing they had no option but to seek the support of the fund. Parliamentary correspondent Kweku Asante has the rest of the story from Ghana's legislature.
During the heated periods of the debate in Parliament before the approval of the controversial e-levy, government was clear: either pay e-levy or Ghana goes to the IMF.
Mr. Speaker, the e-levy is also going to help with the fiscal consolidation effort and reduce the debt levels of our country. And that also means that we are going to see an improved economic ratings and not returning to the International Monetary Fund.
Indeed, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta had been clear within that same period that the country was not going to seek IMF support. But despite all these, government has begun engagement with the International Monetary Fund for an economic program. Ranking member on the Finance Committee, Dr. Kesil Atoforson, says the move is welcoming but way behind schedule.
I saw it coming long ago. I know the government intended to evade what is obvious, but the reality is obviously it's clear that they had no other choice than to do an IMF program. Overall, I think it's refreshing, but the simplest thing is to authorize an IMF program. The most difficult one is getting a program. That unfortunately, as a result of the fact that the government decided to delay in taking such an important decision, it has cost the nation and it will cost us even more going forward.
He also described government's expectation that the e-levy was going to be an alternative to the IMF as short-sighted. Government's decision to seek an IMF support sent shockwaves through Parliament, especially on the back of Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta's insistence that government was not going to seek support from the fund. Parliament, you could see MPs passing their phones to each other on both the minority and majority sides, ostensibly to break the news to each other. In the coming days, this will generate a lot of discussions, and MPs will have a greater say in what kind of deal government gets from the IMF.
They were trying to create, by this candid decision by government, through a statement issued by the Minister of Information, it's as though they know nothing about IMF. You have been to the IMF, Mr. Speaker. You were not confronted by an international crisis. You went to IMF because of mismanagement. Why are you now telling us that we are going to IMF? When you ruled, Mr. Speaker, grant me the space. Mr. Speaker, when they were in government, there was no international crisis. You went to IMF.
The deputy leader may have aspiration to be leader, but not aspiration to be Minister for Finance and to be making formal announcement on behalf of the Minister for Finance on IMF. Ghana will not go to IMF, unquote, says Ken Ofori-Atta. What are you seeking to do? To formally announce to this House that there is now a school prophet in the IMF.
The minority now says government will not get their support to pass any loan agreements that are not project specific, in accordance with directive from former President John Mahama.
I have said that the problems we are in is the fact that we have an unsustainable debt. Any attempt for us to support the government to take another decision to add on additional commercial debt without showing clear signs of building buffers to repay, it means we are participating in the destruction of the economy. His Excellency John Mahama was right. And I commend him for such a bold decision. And for me, it's a three-line whip on us to make sure we do not participate in the destruction of the Ghanaian economy.
Meanwhile, minority spokesperson on works and housing, Vincent Opon Asamoah, says he will be surprised if his side does not start processes to remove Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta through a vote of censure. The Doma West MP is confident the NDC will get support from the NPP MPs who say are disappointed in the minister's performance but can't voice it publicly.
I'll be so disappointed in the minority if we don't start a process to ensure that this guy is booted out of office. I know Nana Addo would naturally not reshuffle his cabinet. But for this, at least there was a firm promise to Ghanaians that we should give them e-levy. Once e-levy is passed, then there's no way we'll be going to IMF for any bailout. But here we are, e-levy, we have gotten it, and they are telling us we are going to IMF. And this is a very good grounds for us to start impeachment process so that this man should...
What exactly has he done wrong?
My brother, how can you make this huge promise to Ghanaians and we have given you what you want and you are not even humble enough to come and apologize. So if Nana Addo doesn't want this man to go, then I expect NPP to turn around and tell the government in the face that if he came for his family and friends, he's destroying their party.
Now, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta will present the mid-year budget review to Parliament on Wednesday, 13th July. The mid-year review is expected to announce measures government is implementing to turn around the economy even before the country finalizes an arrangement with the IMF for an economic program. According to Majority Leader Osei Mensah Bonsu, who announced this to Parliament, this presentation may include requests for additional funding.
Speaker, pursuant to the Public Financial Management Act 2016, Act 921, the Honourable Minister of Finance is expected to present a mid-year review of the budget statement and economic policy of the Government of Ghana, and possibly supplementary estimate for the 2022 financial year to this Honourable House on Wednesday, the 13th of July 2022.
We can now go for this week's editorial on the government's decision to seek support from the Bretton Woods Institution to save the economy.
The e-levy is perhaps one of the most controversial bills ever laid before Parliament. This is the bill that turned Ghana's Parliament into a boxing ring. Many Ghanaians complained and criticized the e-levy, insisting the government would reverse the gains made on the mobile money front. Ghanaians cited examples of countries where taxes on mobile money had caused a reduction in the volume of transactions. For example, Tanzania taxed mobile money in July last year, and peer-to-peer transactions dropped by 38%, from 30 million to 18 million per month. But the listening NPP government decided to ignore all concerns the public expressed. It seemed they were ready to kill the goose that laid the golden eggs. It was almost as if the tax was the cure to all of Ghana's economic problems.
I think that is something that is there's nothing so, and the e-levy is not Ghana, it's the only country that has something like a mobile, a digital tax. Many countries, they will not like it. People never like taxes. I don't know any group of people, especially businesses, when taxes are brought to them that like it.
I'm happy that the House has finally found it possible to pass the e-levy bill. I believe strongly the levy is going to make a significant contribution to revenue mobilization and the management of the national economy.
The e-levy is also going to help with the fiscal consolidation effort and reduce the debt levels of our country. We are going to see an improved economic ratings and not returning to the International Monetary Fund, which is the only solution our friends on the other side have always preferred. Why don't you go to the IMF? Go to the IMF. We have shown that we have alternatives to building the economy of this country without resorting to conditionalities that will be imposed on this country. We will not go to the IMF today, we will not go to IMF tomorrow, and we are not going as long as the NPP remains in power.
So they passed the tax into law, and the GRA enthusiastically started implementation. In spite of numerous technical and operational problems, the Revenue Authority announced their excitement at a yield of 1 million cedis a day from the largest vendor on the very first day.
One of the charging entities which own more than 70% of the population, we saw his tax bill. And I started smiling and clapping because it was good.
How much was it?
It's in excess of 1 million.
Okay.
For just one charging entity.
Now, do the maths. 1 million cedis a day for even a whole year would only bring in 365 million cedis. But the tax was expected to yield some 4.5 billion Ghana cedis. The GRA has stopped being so forthcoming with information about how much money they are collecting these days. They say it's early days yet. Government, of course, was optimistic that the collections would go up. Enter Imani. The think tank says that their research shows that 83% of Ghanaians have changed their mobile money habits because of the e-levy. Then we saw tweets from the president's cousin, Gabi Asare-Okyere-Darko, that mobile money is not generating enough revenue. At this point, was anyone surprised government had been warned, hadn't they? Several times, in fact. Then the GRA announced again that the mobile money merchants' accounts will be taxed. Now, this has sparked a new onslaught of complaints by the merchants, but government is still not listening. Joy News would like to share a profound quote by the former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe with the president and the managers of our economy. Shinzo Abe said, "When I served as Prime Minister last time, I failed to prioritize my agenda. I was eager to complete everything at once and ended my administration in failure. After resigning, for 6 years, I traveled across the nation simply to listen. We know the president and his team have no challenge with traveling across the country, but we sincerely hope that they are not as challenged when it comes to listening. Because the people are telling you in clear, unambiguous language that things are hard. We are saddled with unprecedented debt and our credit rating is plummeting. Nobody on the market is willing to lend to us at realistic rates, and as a nation, we are already spending more money on servicing our debts than any other item on our budget. Experts started to call on government to run to the IMF. The finance minister and other appointees rubbished this advice. Today, the president has chosen the IMF option. After resisting the obvious and delaying the inevitable for far too long, the president has finally taken the decision he should have taken months ago. Now, the thing about being in an IMF program is that you can no longer argue that you have been managing the economy well. Not with a straight face, anyway. But we are still dozens of decisions away from being out of the woods. Here at Joy News, we are calling on the president to put pride aside and apologize to the people of Ghana for not listening to us. In order to retain our confidence in his stewardship, he must not sell unrealistic optimism. He must honestly manage our expectations. He must get it right this time and take the tough decisions that will steer us back to economic recovery. The listening government must remember how to listen before they are forced to.
You're welcome back. There's the Joy Newsroom with me, Clarence Kwesi Apia. Now, scores of Ghanaians who still don't have Ghana cards are pleading for more time to link their bank accounts with a card. Government's policy requiring bank account holders to use only the Ghana card as a source of identification took effect yesterday, with some persons unable to withdraw funds from their accounts. At the El-Wak Sports Stadium in Accra, where many are still in the process of obtaining their Ghana cards, there is a plea for the deadline to be extended. My colleague Samuel Kojo Brace has more in this report.
2 years, now 3 years in a year, Ghana card, you know. Also, it was, I mean, to me, Nantu, in the year dropping 50, 60, 5 cities, 6 cities. Because son almost moved their court news agency.
Madam Theresa Kofi, a pensioner who has been struggling to get her Ghana card for the past 1 year. She couldn't hold back her tears whilst narrating her ordeal in the past year to me.
And the man that Tuesday, me I call news agency, almost because she. Omuya woman mama no me fambra. Fisha no me fra fie ansa na ya mobile money mama ansa na me fa drop in ba fie. Inti just Thursday no and da no me Abraham man to be amba and na me buy. And then my ya free hasa aba. Almost me got 2 weeks time mbra. Ska wo ifa na ya se wo fa. We in bank house unya pay. Pension ya me nya pay me did.
According to her, just a misspelling of her name has caused her so much. She has to shuttle between her home and several other places just to lay hands on her card. Madam Theresa tells me now that banks are only allowing people to use Ghana card as identities, she fears how she will feed because she can't lay hands on her meager pensioner's salary as a result of her not getting a Ghana card.
No money me come back this week there. I got news agency 2 times. I said my call. She actually know Wednesday na me call. And then the almost me Brahman buy and then I'm a me buy no she say me got 2 weeks time na me Zambra.
So today at the Elwak Sports Stadium, Ma Theresa has come to try and get it. But she says while struggling to get the card, she fell. There are likely many people of a kind who are struggling to live, more likely even struggling just to have access to their Ghana cards so they can link that to their account to have access to their meager salaries. Anthony and Nelson are young people who have been struggling for some time now to get their cards.
We've been here for a week. Some have been here since 2019. Some have not even received their card. Then you are telling us that you are ending the process today. Like, it doesn't make sense. So today, no. By all means, no, everybody will not be able to do it right now.
I did it in 2019. You couldn't do it for me. Now you're asking me to pay money before getting my card. I think it's not unfair. It's not fair. And we have a lot of people now. When you get to the head office now, confusion here and there. You go there, they ask you to come to Elwak. Look at the number of people here now. And they are now giving us a deadline.
Like Madam Theresa, Anthony and Nelson want the Bank of Ghana to extend the deadline for linking one's card to his or her account.
Yes, there should be an extension, at least at the close of the year. There should be an extension because it doesn't. What they are doing is unfair.
I mean, the deadline has to be extended up to even the end of the year.
But will there be an extension for Ma Theresa and all other people struggling to access their Ghana cards? Only time will tell. For Joy News, from the Elwak Stadium, I am Samuel Kojo Brace.
My father drop your God, I don't come with me. Me were BP, me or asthma. Diabetes is what me who.
Now, it's exactly a year since onion traders were forced out of the Agbogbloshie market. Some of them moved to Dominase in the central region against their earlier fears of slowed business. The traders say their business has improved. The Greater Accra minister has been marking this day with the traders. Michael Ashali was there and now reports.
A year ago, Regional Minister Henry Korte, as part of plans to decongest the Agbogbloshie market, relocated onion traders to Dominase and Ajin Kotoku. But the traders fought back. They feared their trade and livelihoods would die out at the new site. But the minister stood his grounds. A year on, the traders are relieved their business are still vibrant. They met the minister with cheers. Although happy, the market is relatively young and lacking many amenities. The traders appeal to the Greater Accra and Central Regional Ministers to come to their aid. Sidi Muhammad is with the Onion Traders Association at the Dominase Onion Market.
Your problem is I can say light and ne toilet ne speed ramp no anti security there men kambwa commander oya there she's ayaba hanyina 24 hours akambe oya na form there.
Central Regional Minister Justina Marigold Hassan promised to come to their aid.
There you know a champion Dominase market no order ya buwan nti menyimi ya penyin de bia yesin komo ya ba bua mama sitem adwomo ya ba bua mamu gozi amuzi akonanyim mo ba de mo be ya adwuma na obi from wo Cape Coast there madam we hu de wo ba ya market wo ha me per space kakra nti ma space nti nkrofo dodo na wo ba ha wo ba ya adwuma nkrofo bebre na sika bo won kotokum dodo na wotu mo hwe wo ma wo school
In the absence of street lights, the traders say they are unable to work at night.
Minister sacked us from the various places, that's Abobloshi, which first we are not be happy. We didn't happy for that. But today, Alhamdulillah, we realize that what the minister did, he did very well. He did good for us, and we pray. And I'm standing here, Miss City. If I'm the minister today, I'm going to do the same thing the minister did. So I'm very happy. We are free here. Problem. Everywhere is a problem. We don't have much problem. If I can be honest to you, the big problem here we had is the speed road. The speed is too much.
Yeah, how can see any car quino? Nananum paying for any honorable. I pay a child, I watch it. Not car Bobby or so. So be chuck when Wabeto a jane, Wabeto a bibi crab, Bayraka crano the chuck anymore. You don't want to say, car no abon. And see when the two paying for them say a threat. So bet me have rams, am I or quino so? Send your bed, yeah, a bet me saving in per lives. Now my assume.
Henry Korte promised to assist them with street lights.
Adie way, a baby a sumbo, ewa omamu, and to moon some ye, munkutum ye, and I'm free and some. Yan check, ya besa quo. Na and then ya bay dear. Munkasa Nina, original minister, Miniaba, or Beshan Yaman and Kitten Nemum. You bet to me, Asha Bokakra. Sir, Unyami Adumwa, the Yansu Yadiba boy in Miaba will have a free Greater Accra and say, Ye beba be 2 borehole a Mamoha. Borehole, dear, and yan started Bapea. No water bill. Yes! Go back about. Now, ye 2 borehole no Mamoa. Mosumu Mamadi, Namunto water tanks, not in Sonu Mremu. Namu Mamadi, Namun Chesuye, kama. Afeno. Electricity, street lights, me mayor Akasa, me MC Waha, Greater Accra, Nyami Adomwa. By the next 3 weeks, you know, you better street lights, you know, Bako. You better street lights, Bako 30. You better 30 street lights. Na ya many regional minister Bekasa. You was street post be kakra on crime. So you nyaka de beba. You better street post no so Bako 20. Enti ya deba na mo de post na sisi hu nyina de twa ho na mo de light no ahihye so ade san na kanea so ama ho Rome was not built in a day. Little drops of water, they say, makes a mighty ocean. Kakra, 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 akuko, obenumunsu.
Sometime in July, the minister will be meeting the traders at the Ajin Kotoku market. For Joy News, Michael Ashali.
Now, the depreciating cedi is affecting many products, including imported baby foods. Some parents say they are reconsidering local food because the prices of imported baby foods have skyrocketed. Mami Yesi Thompson brings you a story of a mother who says spending almost 1,000 cedis weekly on baby food to feed her twins is draining her financially. Stay tuned for more in this edition of the Living Standard series.
Now it's going for 310 cedis. This is a product that used to sell around 230 cedis. Oh, in a week. Close to 1,000.
Exchange rate in the cost through. In Germany, money in our prices as a sack.
Babies are a joy and a blessing to have, but bearing all their responsibilities can be expensive, especially in these hard economic times. In this story, I focus on the cost of various baby foods. Alma Teria is blessed with twins. Her breast milk is not enough, so she's been relying on baby foods for her children. She scans the shelves of the baby foods and grocery shop at East Legon and is shocked that the price has gone up again.
As for the money aspect, I don't even want to think about it, because the thing is, when you come to stock, the next time you're back, the prices have like doubled or something. Like there's an increase. There's always an increase. Like every time there's an increase, and it's not even funny. Yeah.
Alma says the trend is frustrating her financial plans. She spends close to 4,000 cedis every month on baby formulas.
Before, I used to buy like the Aptamil. A bottle was, I think, 11 or 12 cedis. Baby food, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And then now it's about 23 or 25, right? So you can just imagine. Oh, in a week, close to 1,000. Close to 1,000 cedis. Yeah. Close to 1,000. I'm serious.
Her twins turned 1 recently. They started feeding on milk formulas a couple of months after birth. To keep her family budget in check, Alma is now leaning towards corn porridge.
We're supplementing with a lot of cocoa. So, I mean, you do the cocoa, then you, because they are a year old now, so then the milk is less, more cocoa, more food, like, trying to win them onto the normal adult food, like, the purees and then the banku rice and all of those things, yeah. A little of it, yeah.
The baby food shop owner, Sylvia, is blaming the high cost of baby food on the depreciating cedi. She tells me they hardly get certain products because of the shortage in the USA, where most of her products are imported from.
It's really affecting business, to tell you the truth, because you go to a shop to get this. When you go to, let's say, Sam's Club, yeah, you go and you want to get Enfamil, you see it, but you can't buy more than 2. For now, it's going for 310 cedis. This is a product that used to sell around 230 cedis, yeah? And for the past, I mean, every day it goes high. Mothers come, they are complaining, oh, your price keeps going high, blah, blah, blah. It's not my fault, it's not anybody's fault. Even in the States, you buy something today, you go there the next day, it's going up by $1, $2, that kind of thing. So it cuts across. At the end of the day, all these things are moved by, with the fuel prices and across the whole world. When the prices go high or when inflation is high, it affects everything.
Another trader at the Makola market, Auntie Stella, owner of Ritma Baby Love Shop, says that depreciating cedi has pushed many of her colleagues out of business.
Exchange rate in the cost through. In Germany, money in our price.
The exchange rate has gone up, so it has affected prices and duty costs. Many of my colleagues have stopped the business. A first-time mother, Benedicta, is with his 7-month-old son, Ethan, at the Makola market to get his food. Ethan relies heavily on baby formulas, but prices have gone up and the 300 cedis she set aside cannot buy enough for 1 month. She tried to bargain with the shop attendant to bring down the prices, but she didn't succeed. She later called her husband to top up her cash.
I came the other day and the price was like, the nancy was like 37 cedis, but when I came today he said it's 45 cedis. Yeah. And I'm even begging him to give it to me 41. He said I have to buy 3 before. Hey. Yeah. And 41 times 3 is, I think, 123. And my money too is not up to that. How much are you having? Yeah, I was thinking it was 40 or 40, 41 cedis. So I'm having I think 115. I've not calculated my money, but my budget for that one is 115.
So what are you going to do now?
I'll buy it like that. At first I've been buying it like 6 or 7 pieces, but today I have to buy like 3.
The situation will not stop mothers from feeding their babies. Some mothers are now combining foreign baby foods and traditional baby foods to cushion their budgets. But they are calling on the government to ensure a stable currency.
Now, Chairman of the National Democratic Congress, Samuel Ampofo, has waded into the National Cathedral debate, describing government's posture as unfortunate. The plan is to build a National Cathedral has sparked intense debate among the populace, especially with revelations that government recently released 25 million Ghana cedis to the National Cathedral Secretariat as additional seed money for the project. Speaking on PM Personality Profile, Samuel Ampofo told host Aisha Ibrahim that he personally does not have a problem with building a National Cathedral, but the secrecy surrounding it and the dishonest behavior of government is making him uncomfortable.
I personally don't have any problem when somebody decides that I want to build a cathedral or I want to build a church. I know several businessmen and other entrepreneurs who, when God blesses them, even in their hometown, they go and build, churches and as a gift to their communities, several across the country. So if you have a covenant with your God and you want to build a church or a cathedral, I have no problem with it. No qualms at all with it. However, with regard to the present cathedral, the circumstances, even the selection of the site, I have a problem with it. Do you know that they had completed a number of newly built bungalows for our judges?
Yep.
And I've been told that when those buildings, the judges were ejected and the buildings were demolished, a respected member of the bench resigned. I can't mention the name, but that is the information that I heard, that the person felt so bad that, look, I can't continue to be in this business. All these buildings were demolished. The passport office was demolished. Several other buildings were demolished. The cost of those buildings alone, perhaps, could have even put up the cathedral. Again, telling us that this cathedral will not be built with state funds, and that it will be contribution from individuals and private sector and others. You see, when you are building a cathedral for God, you don't build it on the foundation of lies, because at least it's a holy temple that you're building for the Lord. And again, our public finance systems are guided by rules, that if you want to do, we have the gift mix system that will dictate how public finance utilization is. It goes about approval processes and so on and so forth. So when you are building something for God, and then it is shrouded in some secrecy, then tomorrow a warrant will appear somewhere, and then some payment has been made, and Parliament is not aware, nobody is aware, then somebody has to come and explain it. It is even an embarrassment.
We take a breather here. Stay with us. Welcome to the business segment of the news. Now, President of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Clement Osei Amoakon, is upbeat of improved investor confidence if government seeks assistance from the fund. He spoke earlier on Business Live.
As we speak now, we cannot generate money from within. There's no way. And you can just check from the way the e-levy went on. As we speak now, we're getting about 10% of the total revenue that they were expecting the country to get. The 90 is not coming from within. And so there's no alternative than to seek the redress of the IMF. But what I want to say is that when we are able to get their support, we have to look within and see where we can still make some gains. Honestly, businesses are hurting and everybody is complaining. Now we can see that inflation has moved up high. We also see that the prime rate has also moved up to now. Exchange rate keeps on being above 8 point something. If you allow the economy to go as it is, I'm afraid businesses cannot be sustained. We need foreign currency to import. We need good interest rate to borrow money to expand our business and create jobs. In the absence of we not getting that money, and the government is also borrowing alongside with us to crowd out the private markets, then what we foresee, if you don't go for the bailout, will be very difficult. And I think that let's go in for the bailout and see what we can do within to support what it is. If that is done, it will bring the confidence back into the economy.
And now let's do some sports. Mohamed Salah has ended speculations about his Liverpool future by signing a new 3-year contract worth an estimated £55 million. An 18-month contract impasse has ended with Salah becoming the highest paid player in Liverpool history with a salary in excess of £350,000 a week between now and 2025. So after committing his long-term future to the Reds, Liverpool fans sent the Egyptian a love message. Let's now take a wrap of the eventful news items of the week.
Another tear gas!
Members of the pressure group Arise Ghana took to the streets to register their displeasure at what they say is economic hardship in the country.
Recent and current colonialist of our time is President Akufo-Addo. He chooses the date 28th to unleash brutality on the people of Ghana. What else can we do as innocent citizens?
After 2 days' protest marred with some violence on the first day, they presented their petition to parliamentarians.
But hey, I'm not. No, even me, I'll resist it. I'll resist that oppression now. You can come and arrest me later on. You can invite me later on. But when I'm in the line of my duty, no, you won't.
The minority and majority leaders had this to say.
Parliament, supported by members of parliament and the clerks, but provoke debate accordingly for the needed attention, and to borrow the words of the second person who spoke, we need to work together to lessen the burden of the Ghanaian.
We must not be oblivious of matters happening around us, the world generally, and in particular, the sub-region. So yes, we have a right to demonstrate, but let's keep it peaceful in order that nobody takes advantage of what is happening.
The Finance Ministry also responded.
I'd also like to thank you for giving us a copy of the petition that is supposed to go to the Speaker of Parliament. I'm happy to announce to you that government has already started meeting relevant stakeholders to see how best we can address this economic situation that has arisen as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russian-Ukraine war.
Let's hear the thoughts of the Information Minister.
First, there was a group that wanted to demonstrate with weapons. Then there was this group that said they wanted to demonstrate at night. There's an obvious attempt to create instability in our country at this time.
Now, 1 year since the death of Ijura-based social media activist Ibrahim Mohammed alias Kaka, his family says they are still traumatized by the event.
Why there are so many options of defending or controlling crowd, then they decided to use live bullets. So we wanted a stop for this type of killing.
And that's a wrap of the week with me, Hannah Odame.
And that's all we have for you for this hour. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Clarence Kwesi Appiah. Thank you for watching.